Welcome, everybody, to International Ball Live webcast. Today, I have the great pleasure of hosting a good colleague and friend based in Italy. We're going to be talking about LBA Serie A Italy. Hello, Lino. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you, Tom?
Good to have you on, my friend. First of all, hope all is well with you and your family during this tough COVID-19. How is this being handled there in Italy?
Well, except for the first division that continued its activity most of the past year, all other basketball leagues stopped completely. So also the youth programs and everything else was halted. But this year it seems to be going a lot better, and everything is more or less back to usual.
Lino, you've been a long-time coach, assistant coach, NBA scout, scouted for the LBA teams, been part of teams, championship-winning teams, Euro Cup, LBA championships. Uh, how is LBA doing? I mean, round 12, last round that you covered the story for us. What did you think? How the league has come about and continue these competitions?
Well, after a couple of years in which the league kind of struggled, um, now with Milan, with Virtus Bologna back into the top teams of European basketball, there's a lot more enthusiasm and a lot more interest in basketball itself. Italy is a soccer-dominated country, but basketball has gained big popularity with the younger generations. And this year, more than ever, because there's this, say, competition at the top of the table between Milano and Virtus Bologna.
You covered the game for Treviso and Pesaro. How were those games, and what did you see?
Well, there's big balance, let's say, in the rest of the on the rest of the table. Treviso and Pesaro. Pesaro had a very important win on the road with my former assistant Luca Banchi, that has been coach now for just 2 or 3 weeks, and after Petrovic, and Treviso lost its second home game in this whole season. Usually they have very strong fourth quarters, but it wasn't enough this time to get back to the usual winning streak that they had at home.
Brilliant. How are they right now? I guess both teams adjusting in terms of records in the table. I guess starting with Treviso.
Treviso's middle of the pack really with 5 wins, while Pesaro has won 3 games in a row, leaving the last place in the league and trying to recover positions to safety. Remember that in the Italian league there's relegation for the last teams, and it's important to stay away from those delicate last spots.
Of course, we have this soccer football mentality in Europe where a lot of the leagues have to, be able to maintain a certain record, not to relegate to the lower division. And from the lower divisions, they have to win their division in order to be able to move up to the first division. For our North American fans, viewers who are going to be tuning in with great interest to watch the Italian games here on International Ball, .tv. We're curious if you can tell us. I mean, we have a grand, perspective when we hear about LBA Italy, Serie A. Quickly we, associated with Kobe Bryant and how, and his father Jelly Bean, who lived there during the time he was playing, and how he grew up and learning the fundamentals of the game there in Italy. Can you expand a little bit on that experience in terms of how Italy was a big part of growing up of Kobe Bryant?
Yeah, it's incredible because I was the assistant coach of a team in the first division, if I'm not mistaken, or Pesaro or Virtus Bologna, and we went to play Reggio Calabria, southern Italy, where Jelly Bean was playing, and I remember at halftime this little kid jumping on the floor. He was just 3 feet tall, and he was shooting, and that was Kobe. And then moving to Reggio Emilia, let's say not far from Bologna, he spent many years playing in the youth system, that Reggio Emilia youth program of Reggio Emilia, and he spoke perfect Italian. And very often, without notice, he would show up on the beaches of Rimini with some friends, and just hang out as a normal Italian.
Of course, us fans been so accustomed to the NBA here in North America, but oftentimes we forget a lot of the elite level competition that's out there in Europe, especially in Italy. I mean, you talk about a lot of the NBA players that come from Italy, a lot of the top executives that come from Italy. You talk about, for example, Ettore Messina, one of the legends of European basketball that was coaching for many, many years here with the San Antonio Spurs. Sergio Scariolo, with the success he had in Spain and the Spanish basketball team. Who's next?
Well, there's some interesting. I don't know about the coaches, but certainly there are some interesting players that are gradually gaining minutes and importance in the Italian league. For example, there's one that played a very good game. I think it's one of his. I think he had a career high. In the last game was Procida, and he is a 19-year-old and already on mock drafts. But there are others that are very promising youngsters. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to have many minutes in a league that if you're on a weaker team, for example, the kind of pressure there is to win is sometimes larger than the pressure that a top team has, because they have to avoid relegation. There's big drama in the last positions of the table to avoid those spots.
The last game that you covered, when you talk about, I guess, of the LBA Serie A, Varese and Napoli. How did that game? What did you think of that game and the competition that occurred?
Well, Varese is going through a very difficult season. After Luis Scola retired, and he is now one of the main men of the management there, they had a process of renewal of many players. New coach, Adriano Vertemati, my good friend and former colleague coaching here in Treviso. And they are now in the last place of the league with only 3 wins and 8 losses. Napoli, on the other hand, is a rookie team. They won the second division last year, but they really have some very experienced players, a very good and experienced coach, Pino Sacripanti, and they're doing above expectations, I think, and they are in 3rd place. So right behind that terrific duo of Milan and Bologna.
Is there a favorite or expectation certain teams to probably advance to the playoffs? I mean, although it's even early to talk about that, but perhaps some teams are making sort of investments to position for the EuroLeague or the Euro 7 days Euro Cup.
Well, it might be a little early, but there is a big group of teams, like from the 5th to the 10th place, that with one game could improve drastically their position by winning, or obviously lose spots by losing a game, and they're very, very close. So with a 2-game, 3-game streak, they would find themselves, or right behind the leading clubs, or again on the bottom of the table. And for example, Treviso, that we mentioned before, they've been working very hard, and they've been having a great season. Here we can see the games that'll be next week with Venezia going to Tortona. Now Venezia has been struggling the last 2 or 3 games, and had a very good cup game middle of the week, and probably their morale is a little bit better. We know then that the second game that we see on the table is with Trieste, that would be playing the powerhouse Milan, and that is going to be a very difficult game for Trieste. But the most important game, or one of the most important games, will be Napoli against Trentino, because they are both tied right behind the leading couple, and winning, especially with someone that is at the same, say, level on the table, is an important factor. Then the game between Virtus Bologna and Fortitudo Bologna. Now, I coached in Bologna for 5 years. This game is equal to a championship. You have bragging rights even if you don't do anything else. You win what they call the derby, and you have bragging rights on the other half of the city. And curious stories, like just the week before this kind of game that happens twice, obviously once in Virtus Bologna's court and once in Fortitudo Bologna's court. Well, I would go buy something at the supermarket, and they would give me a discount if we win the next game against the rivals, or I won't serve you next week if you lose, like that kind of participation. So it's very intense, and the whole city lives it. Now that the other Bologna is back into the first division, it was relegated a couple of years ago. Now that they're back, it's going to be a big thing for basketball in Italy in general. The following game that is the game, and the news that today said that usually on the Bologna court there are no fans from the opposing side, because it's all sold out for the Bologna fans, for the Virtus fans. Well, news today is that the Fortitudo fans found 150 tickets, so they will be represented. There's going to be 150 Fortitudo fans on the opposing court, and it's going to be fun.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Of course, you also joining us on the commentary side, and sharing us these beautiful stories of your experiences and your knowledge in the LBA and a wonderful game of basketball for us here in North America, Canada specifically, speaking for these games. Thanks so much for spending the time with us, and looking forward to inviting you back for many more.
It's a pleasure.